Hi, my name is Paul Doany'ni. I'm the CEO of Türk Telekom. I'm Jordanian, Palestinian origin. I live in Turkey now. I originally studied engineering and I got into management very early on. I did run Türk Telekom between 2005, 2011, and then from then I did some venture capital into IT, internet and renewable energy. So my background is kind of like not pure telecom as well, but recently I've had exposure to smaller startups, which are a lot more challenging, shall I say. This was an interesting talk in the sense that the other presenters were a lot more technical and they were covering where technology is going on primarily allocating bandwidth at the lowest possible cost. So I try to really look at the commercial aspect of revenue generation. What's the most effective way for the operator, obviously having lowered the cost of providing the service, then how to monetize on that. And I believe that latency at the high end, bandwidth is key. So people have to pay for the bandwidth, and if they don't really need that much bandwidth, give them less, give them more capacity at a low price so you can maintain higher levels of usage. So that's really the gist of it. Now, Turkey, on broadband, when I returned to the company, one of the things I did notice was that, from a break 2012, 2016, that the penetration was lower than I thought it should be. And on mobile data, the data per mobile was higher than I thought. It was around closer to 4 gigabyte per customer per month on mobile. And on the penetration on fixed, we're in the 40%, close to the 50%. And I said we have to push that up to 70%. So the way I worked on that is we designed a cheap internet, which basically means if you have an old copper line in your home that you're not using for data because you now have your mobile voice and you have enough data on your mobile phone, we'll give you a low bandwidth but a very high 20 gigabytes per month additional to your mobile. So that meant that price-sensitive customers could afford to have a fixed internet in their home. And slowly, obviously, I was hoping, and thankfully it did work, they would want more capacity and therefore more bandwidth. So therefore, I need to have a low price so I can sell more. So therefore, I give a low bandwidth. And then for the high end, of course, I designed a way for other operators to use our facilities. So I designed a CapEx contribution model for the fixed line. So if someone wants to use a facility, they enter into a 10-year lease. They give us the money. We own it. They have a right of use. The rest of it, they pay rental on it. And I think that also generated interest because it's a new model and I'm very excited about it. Now we have one model working with Vodafone. Turkcell can use it. And I've done also a successful mobile sharing with Vodafone. I've been in the company now for 2 years and it takes 2 years to do something like this. So people should move quickly on it. Well, I mean, obviously on the broadband penetration, increasing penetration is very key. So going forward in time, let's say the next 3 to 5 years, I think Turkey needs to go towards a 70% from the high 50% now that we are at. That means doing more of what we're doing. In relation to bandwidth sales, I see more fiber and more wireless data, which basically would be meaning intelligent 5G, because 5G would be very difficult to make it work in anything other than a spotty environment. So 5G will not be a mobile service, meaning universal coverage. So the customers that need the bandwidth are unlikely to need the same bandwidth everywhere. So you have general bandwidth in a mobile sense. If you are in a hospital, you are in a factory, perhaps those can be signing at a 5-10-year contract, and then it can get much lower pricing. So I can support 5G operators as well as a fixed operator. So the landscape will be a lot more spotty fixed over wireless and then just conventional wireless. Well, the next 5 years, I think that the cost of 5G is going to be a key question for me, like the licensing cost, the coverage obligations. It will be very wasteful if this license, for example, even if the price is reasonable, to have coverage obligations. Whereas if you are able to provide, for example, let's say slicing over LTE, 4.5G, and if a customer wants it, you can provide it almost anywhere, that would be a more cost-effective way to provide universal coverage, which means geographical coverage. And for this reason, I also am very cautious on this digital divide, because, you know, as the people who have the means to pay end up getting this unlimited bandwidth, the people who don't even have connectivity are falling way behind. And that's the reason why it's very important for the lower income people at least to have some bandwidth with a lot of capacity. And that's why it would be wasteful just to provide coverage that they will not use because they can't afford it. That's the balance, I think, between, I mean, that's the way I see it.